So this is part 3 of our World War I nitty-gritty, talking about Serbia. So Serbia sort of saw itself as the leader of the Slavic peoples here. They actually wanted to form kind of a Slavic nation that they would call Yugoslavia, or Land of the Slavs. And you know that that vision did become a reality. They felt that Bosnia and Herzegovina were certainly their people. Now, with Bosnia and Herzegovina, I think we can just see the kind of the geographic features of the land there. They had a large ethnic Serb population, so they did have a lot in common with Serbia. And we talked about how Serbia just planned to kind of take them in, expand the borders, form Yugoslavia, the Slavic land. Serbia worked to undermine control, Austro-Hungarian control of Bosnia and Herzegovina after they annexed them, because they saw it as their people, their land, part of themselves, really. And there was just increasing tension between Serbia and Austria, Bosnia and Herzegovina and Austria. When Franz Ferdinand is assassinated, it's going to be in Bosnia Herzegovina. He's visiting Sarajevo, and a Serbian terrorist comes in and is like, "This is not your land," makes, a terrible, dastardly statement there. So this map, kind of interesting piece of art here. When I first looked at this, I thought that the creature was a wolf, but in the caption I learned that that is meant to be a Russian bear. And you can see how a lot of regions have been kind of embedded with different animals. It looks like Great Britain is a fish in this map. So you can pause the lecture here and kind of look around and see what you can see. But this picture is about sort of the tensions of the European countries' desires. And I guess if you had to think of an overall theme, it would be that Russia is just so much larger, at least in land and possibly in ambition, than the other nations appear to be, at least according to this artist. We need to understand at this time in history a tragic martyrdom that occurred, a massacre that occurred of Armenian people. So Armenian people are Christians, and they have been Christians since the time of the disciples' witness. Some of the missionary journeys that Paul went on formed churches that have lasted to this day into the Armenian Christian churches. Now, they silently kind of suffered and put up with Islamic leadership during the Ottoman Empire's fairly long regime, realizing that this whole part of Turkey historically had been the Armenian homeland. Armenian Christians also lived in this region of Turkey, and they were given such a small country when their people lived in much of the Ottoman Empire. They really wanted to live free from the rule of Islam. If you know about Islam, it's pretty strict, and some of its views are pretty different than Christianity's teaching. Views towards women, towards legalistic religion, if not outright persecution of Christians. The Armenians began to cry out to their Ottoman Islamic leaders for more independence, for the ability to worship as Christians, the freedom to worship, the freedom to read God's word. And in response to this, they were targeted for more persecution. And they were attacked multiple times, to the point where when World War I was declared, the Armenians pledged that they would support Turkey's enemy. Now, of course, it was an honest statement, but not wise. Perhaps they did not know how hateful Turkey would be in response. By the beginning of World War I, 1914, there were estimated 2.5 million Christians living in the Ottoman Empire.